Hey everybody, this is Nick from Man from Soul, and today I'm going to show you a bit about sequencing glitch noises in a musical context. You might recognize the playlist I have here from my last tutorial, the iterative harmor getting carried away, whatever I called it. You'll find a link to that in the description if you haven't seen it. What I'll be doing is taking the sounds that I have generated in that past tutorial, and I'll be arranging them musically here. Again, this is glitch music, so some of you music purists might not necessarily consider it music, but that's a whole nother topic of discussion. But yeah, let's get started. So this is just straight up where I left off in the last tutorial. So there's a couple things we need to do first before we're ready to get it in a state where it's easy to actually start arranging. So you'll see here I'm already in my arrangement playlist. I actually keep a sound design playlist to keep things separate, and I, being the fool that I am, did all my sound design in the arrangement playlist, but there's no matter, for we can select everything, Control X, go over here, and Control V, and boom. It's pretty great if you ask me. So, okay, so our outputs were these different sounds here. And so, I mean, just as a quick refresher, here's just what they sound like. Okay, so those are the sounds we'll be primarily using. If you go over here, it looks like we have more of these than I have here in the playlist. I'm not sure why, but we'll use all of them. So first thing we're going to do is we're just going to change all their names to different numbers. Having them have like easily identifiable names makes arrangement easier for me later. You'll see more about that in a sec. Because if they're all named tutorial to something or other, a bunch of characters, it's kind of hard for me to tell them apart in the playlist, whereas this is a lot more simple. So let's actually go back to our arrangement playlist. There we go. So earlier, the drum loop that we made that kind of kickstarted this whole thing that we turned into all those noises. I'm actually just going to use that. Like, it's a pretty decent drum loop. Let's just use it for our drums. Yeah. So obviously, I just put everything here into this one mixer track. Let's take all of these and give them their appropriate categories. If a quick reminder, these all came from the glitch.cool Glitch with Friends Volume 1 sample pack that I kind of helped direct when that came out a while ago. Again, I'll put a link to that in the description. There's a lot of really cool samples in there, including these. So yeah, let's start. Let's do this. We'll keep the two kicks in that channel there, but let's see. Let's take the snares, put them there. Let's take the metal noises, put them there. Let's take all our little perks that we're treating kind of like hi-hats and put them there. Let's just name these so know what's going on. Snares. Might want to separate the kicks out and the snares out because they do sound a lot like this second kick sounds a lot different than this first one, and same here. We'll decide that later though. I don't really know if we need to decide that this very second. Okay. Cool. Okay. So let's so here we just have 4 bars. Let's just get like a nice 8-bar loop going, and this will kind of show you the basics, and we'll kind of keep moving from there. I have my tempo at 134. It's a decent tempo, I say. Let's do it. So the first thing we need to do, actually, okay, I guess before we do the first thing, all these, let's put these in a mixer track. Okay, now those are all there. So what happens is that you have these various long clips of audio. And so you don't necessarily need to go slice them all manually and then place the slices. You do need to do that if you want to save them to some kind of directory that you can use later for dragging and dropping. Or you could not, or you could say the whole thing. But I like to, as I showed in the previous video, chop little slices out and save them somewhere. I might have shown that in the first video, I'm not too sure. But here we don't necessarily need to do that, and I'll show you why. So let's just take, like, say, number 1, and we just put it here. Here, let me actually, these are kind of loud, so let me turn it down a bit. So it doesn't really, like, work out too well. It doesn't sound, like, super great, just where I placed it. So what we can do is we can make it a bit smaller, like a lot smaller. We just get, like, a little chunk of it. Let's just put it, say, like, right there. And then FL has the scrubbing tool. I know for a fact Ableton has the exact same tool where you can just move the audio through, where you keep the start and end points in the overall context of the song the same. So let's just kind of pick a random spot, and you get kind of good at looking at the waveform and being able to tell kind of like how it'll fit in. So let's just see how this first sounds. Not quite. It's kind of cool, yeah. So let's maybe get like a little chunk of a different one in here at the beginning. Let's make these a reasonable size. Okay. Ooh, that was cool. Hold up, yeah, that's neat. So as you can see, I'm already kind of starting to take off and do my own thing here. Basically what you do, you want to get these into the playlist and then just kind of move them around and kind of scrub them into different positions until you have something that kind of works out. And you can kind of tweak it as you go. So let's, I'm just going to do that. So I might not talk a whole lot during that, or I might, let's see. Let's see. I already have 1, 3, 5, and 6. Oh, I don't have 6. Put 6 in there. 6 is cool. Sometimes if I'm too lazy to zoom back out, I'll just cut it like this and then go back to this tool. Oh, before we go any further, I will show you a cool trick. So obviously we care about the sidechaining the low end of all the glitch stuff to the kick. We want to keep the low end in this particular context because a lot of these sounds are more like almost like bass noises. If you don't want any bass, obviously you just high cut or high pass the crap out of it. But in this case, I want to keep bass, but I don't want to interfere with my kick drums. So I like to do a little bit of mixing as I go. So I'm going to show you a cool thing I built in Patcher a while ago. So I call it, what do I call it? Low end sidechain, that's what I call it. So let's take our kicks, and we have to route them to the into, but then with the volume all the way down into our where we have all our glitch stuff. Let's rename this. Let's do this properly. Glitches. So the way that this low end sidechain split works is I don't want the entire sound being sidechain compressed to the kick. I want the kick to hit and only the bass ducks out. You can do that with, in theory, with the parametric EQ and the peak controller. Like you just tie one of the bands of like a, it's either a high shelf or a low shelf, of a low shelf to the peak controller, which is tied to the kick, and then have it just like dip down. But the thing is, even at the EQ, even at the very quietest that it goes, you can still hear quite a bit of it. It's not really that good. So what I've done instead is I basically have a filter that directs part of the signal into the compressor, and then it's a low pass filter that goes into the compressor, and then a high pass filter at the exact same frequency, letting the rest through. So the high pass stuff that's being high pass isn't affected by the sidechain compression, whereas all the stuff below it is, and then that's all controlled by this one knob here. So so this knob controls all that. So I mean, where it is right now is a pretty good position. So let's just see how that kind of plays out on this kind of bassy one. Might be kind of hard to hear, but it's doing it. Is it input 1? Yeah, it is doing it. All right, cool. So now I don't have to worry about that much until later. So let's get back to this. Do I have 4 in there? I don't have 4 in there yet. Whoops. Okay. I really like the way 4 sounds there. Whatever. Okay, let's keep going. Oh, that's cool. Just put that over there. That's good. Let's actually get some more of that one in there, and then so off to a good start. One thing I will talk about here is that so far we're just using the sounds that we already made earlier in the same session, but sometimes you want to bring in some other sounds, and this is where saving sounds that you made for later comes in handy, like I talked about earlier. So we have all these various sounds from this Glitch with Friends sample pack. So I have quite a bit of these in here from me. A lot of these glitch noises are also from other people. I really like Claude's. Claude's are freaking dank. Not to say the other ones aren't, but I like these a lot. And so sometimes I like to, if what I have here isn't really like scratching what I feel like needs to go in here for this to make sense musically, I'll find something in here that does. And not just this pack. I have, I don't know if I've shown you guys before, if I've shown you all of my last videos, but I have like tons and tons of glitch sounds that I've made over the couple of years I've been doing glitch music. Yeah, so these are made with all sorts of different techniques, ranging from the stuff I've shown in the last 2 videos to some modular synths that I have, and just a bunch of other techniques. But yeah, so let's go back to the glitch.cool pack, because I'm trying to plug that one a lot. So let's use some of these. So one kind of annoying thing, and I don't know how well other DAWs handle this, is that because these were not made at the same tempo that this project is done at, they don't quite line up with the grid, which makes things a little difficult for me later. So what I like to do is, if you zoom in all the way and change this to stretch. So stretch is like, it does real time stretching. I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain. I know what it does, but I don't really feel like explaining it. You can go look it up. But then oops, that's not what I want. You need to enable the stretch here because if you don't have that enabled, you just change where the clip ends. But by stretching, you can now stretch it. You can now stretch it around. So I just take it to where it's like lined up, turn that off. And the reason I turned on the stretch is that one, so it'll keep the pitch the same of the thing no matter how long it is. which of course requires a really special algorithm that image line only implemented like a few versions ago. I think Ableton's had it significantly longer. But now if I want to change the tempo at all, this is going to stay like the same, like with these markers. It's not going to all of a sudden like stretch out this way or that way. So yeah, so let's see how this fits in here. Yeah, that works. That works fine. So let's keep going. Some of these Claude ones I'm gonna drop in there. This one really is more of like a bass drone, but I like it. Some cool little moments in here. Oh, I should. You know what I should do? Crap, I forgot to. Yeah. Okay, I gotta do that whole thing here. 1 sec. 1 second, un segundo, por favor. Let's see. Un moment, s'il vous plaît. That's all the languages I know. All right. Boom. Did I? Huh. Oh, fuck. There we go. Okay. Oh, that worked perfectly. That could not have gone smoother. Okay. Machine also there, that sounds cool. Does it sound cool? Sometimes what'll happen is you'll get really like hyper zoomed into like a little like half a bar section of your track, and you'll make it sound like super cool, and you're like, hell yeah, this is awesome. And then you go back and listen to the whole thing, and it just does not fit. Yeah, that works. It's good enough. Okay, so let's see. So we're making some progress here. So let's keep going. I named that one Digital Stomach because that's what my stomach sounds like. It really shouldn't though. Eat your fiber, kids. All right. Yeah, that's pretty neat. Use a little something. Have I been using 2? No, I totally haven't. I've been totally neglecting 2. 2 has a lot of really cool shit in it. Hold up, where else can we use 2? What's 2 even sound like? That's fine. We'll just use 2 somewhere moving forward. You might be noticing that sometimes everything kind of pauses a little. It's because my processor is a little old. I'm looking to get a new one soon, so my apologies if things kind of like stutter a little. I'm working on it. Hell yeah, that was cool. I've been using 3 at all? Barely. Let's get 3 back in here. So, sounds that are really crazy and kind of high pitch. I like to put them at like the end of little like 2-bar sections usually. Makes for a minor little transition. Let's see here. Let's get some of this back in. Let's see. Let's just keep rolling. So we can do it 6. 6 is that beepy thing that was really cool. There we go. That was just what we needed. Just what the doctor ordered. Yes. You must not ignore the dialectic. You can also, I mean, I'm stretching them just so that they meet the grid lines, but you can also just stretch it out more and just say, fuck it. Like, do it. It's the beauty of this. We can do whatever we want. Oh yeah, that was cool. But let's actually swap those 2. Let's get a little beepy thing from 6 back in there. let's move that more towards the end. Now let's keep this back over here. Almost there, we're almost there. I can show you the next step. Okay, awesome. Let's listen to this whole 8-bar thing like all continuously. I don't know about you, but I'm pretty happy with how that came out. So as far as some actual more like musical kind of aspects to this, obviously you can throw like a little melody on top if you want, or you can have like a little like weird like stab going on. There's all sorts of things you can do. Even with these glitch noises, if you want to have some kind of repeating pattern, like for example, like I just straight up did 8 bars of wonky, 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 wonky. Like there's no real relation. It's just it all like flows rhythmically, but I don't really have any repetition going on. Like you could take like this little chunk right here and have it like repeat here, and like at the beginning of like the first 2 bars, or sorry, the first bar of every like 4 bars is like the same, and you have like you can get like a call and response going. That's like a really like atonal like sound design type call and response. There's a million things you can do, and that's I would definitely do something a bit more like that in some of my tracks, depending on what kind of track I'm doing. And so, but this is a good starting point. Given that it's 134 beats per minute, like an 8-bar loop, this can be kind of the basis from which we build off of, and we will in fact build off of it. But I'm going to be focusing a bit more on building off of it from like a sound design perspective. So let's get these exact same drums. Let's just put them again over here. And what we're going to do here is actually, we're going to resample this. That's right, you heard me. We're doing it again. So let's put the space here. So what we're going to do is, oh, you know what? We have to mute the drums. And all right, now let's do it. Sweet. Okay, so now we have, let's go back to our sound design, because we're going to go back and do some more sound design. So let's dump that here. Well, actually, we didn't necessarily need to dump it, but we don't want to, so here's the thing. So this iterative process that we're doing, where we take the sound design we've already done and we keep resampling it, we don't have to be as destructive as we were the first time around, because the point of doing this now isn't to just generate a bunch of raw, cool new sounds. I mean, it kind of is, but it's to take the current sounds and glitch them out further, but have them still be recognizable. So the last video, I talked a bit about like recognizability of your samples after you mangle them. With granulizers, it's easy to go through like 2 or 3 passes and have it still be recognizable. But with Harmer, at least the method I was doing with Harmer, it's pretty easy to just destroy your sample pretty quickly. So I'm not going to do that. I'm mostly just going to rely on Fruity Granulizer and Gross Speed at the moment. That's not to say you can't use Harmer, and like there's ways to make Harmer not sound as destructive, but I really like that unison pixel scaling sound. I don't know, maybe we'll do Harmer. We'll see. I'm undecided as of now, but let's dump this in there. So let's make a new pattern. Oops. Great, what did I do? Oh, I was screwing around with this thing and ruined my life is what I did. Can I? Jesus. Okay, one sec. Then, there we go. Okay, sorry, that's always a pain. So let's turn on loop mode, make an automation clip for all of these. Let's just put this right. Oh, you know what? Here, let's just get a few more some empty slots over here because we're going to be using a lot of them. Okay, there we go. Gives us some more to play with. So let's dunk that in there. You can use, yeah, like I said, I like to use Wave Shaper to bring the volume up, give it a little bit of grit. Okay, so let's embiggen these guys. And alright, let's do it. I turned the mode on, right? Yes, I did, okay. There we go. It's getting the kind of sounds we wanted, so let's... Oh, perfect. Okay, cool. That was neat. Here, let's do a little bit of yield. Oh no, that's the wrong one. Here we go. Yield, gross beat. Again, I like to use this this preset in here. Gross beat. Yes, I really got to get around to making one of my own of these. That actually has the way I want it. But yeah, so then let's just do a little. Alright, that'll do. So let's and so the idea is to do this maybe like 2 or 3 times. But I'm not going to do it that many times because you get the idea after once, and I'm getting kind of hungry, so I want to wrap this up. So we have, and we'll name this, you know, we'll just name this 7. Oops, not 78, just 7. Can you imagine having 78 of those? Jesus. Okay, so one thing I do want to talk about real quick is I only resampled the actual kind of non-drum elements from this. I didn't actually sample the drum elements there. You can 100% absolutely sample the drum elements, and when I said that you want to do 2 or 3 or even more of these, I would encourage having some of those be with drums resampled and some of them not having drums resampled. Having the drums resampled in there gives you a lot more, it obviously becomes a lot more like percussive, like the glitch sound design. And so when you go start using this to make like new phrases, you may or may not want to actually be like cutting parts of your drums out. In order to make a full glitch song, you like a big part of glitch is percussive kind of like irregularity, and so I have a pretty just straight up like beat going on here. It's a pretty predictable beat. It's not like too crazy. This 8-bar loop here I have. It's fun. I like it. I would definitely glitch it out a lot more if I were making this to be like a full on glitch track. Like these drums wouldn't be just so straight. I would definitely mangle them a little, and that part of that is kind of chopping out, like muting little parts of it and like kind of substituting with like more glitched out percussion or just playing with it more. So I encourage you to do such things if you really want that kind of like IDM glitchy sound where it's just really like unstable percussion kind of flying around everywhere. Or if you don't want to do that, then don't. I mean, it's your music. I encourage you to do whatever you feel most comfortable with. But for the sake of this tutorial, like, you get the gist. It was just me resampling it once here. So let's kind of do the same thing again, but here. So we have. One thing is if you have a straight up just kind of boom bap style drum sequence, kind of like I have here, what's really important is kind of the offbeat. So I mean, well, the fact that we're at 134 makes it the second to beat. But imagine we were back down at like normal hip hop tempos. We would the offbeat, the kick, beat, snare, beat, kick. Beat, well, actually, I guess the kick would be syncopated, but you get the idea. That little beat there, in between the kick and the snare, like the first part of the drum, the phrase here, that like putting something in there is what gives it like that kind of that oomphy swing to it. It's kind of hard to explain. I'm not a rhythm expert. I never learned how to play drums, but if you know what I'm talking about, cool. I'm glad. Here, so let's put that there. Let's get 6 in here. 6 is my like. When I was making the last video, I did not think that 6 was going to be a very useful one, but I'm wrong. It's working out well. So that's kind of what I'm talking about, like doom, boom, boom. I guess the snare's over here, but like the kind of in between your beat markers is kind of like, you can, I don't know, I know what I'm trying to say, but I don't really know how to convey it. I'm not the best at explaining musical concepts. I'm not classically trained, but let's keep going. did I do? Did I just, can I accidentally put 1 into here. Huh. That was a complete mistake somehow. Great. By middle clicking on this sample, I accidentally put it into this selected one. Jeez, I hate when it does that. It's so annoying. Is there a way to get that back? Hold on, I need to see if I can get that back. 1 second. Okay, so if I had to just figure out where that went, if you happen to use FL and you've ever made that mistake before, you can, on another sample, you can click on Locate Sample in Browser, and it'll pull up all the samples from your that you've made within an FL context. I guess it buffers all of them. Thank fuck. I'm doing remixes, but yes. So I got that back. Thank goodness. Anyway, let's continue with this. I thought my tutorial was ruined for a second. Oh, well, maybe. Yeah, so under slice audio, let's see, maybe, I mean, not that I believe in the universe's capability to mystically tell me things, but maybe it's trying to mystically tell me something. Sure, you know what, I'll use it, why not? It's a good sample. Make it short. Where's 2? Where's 6? Actually, I want 6 in there. No, let's just use 7. That's good. A 4-bar loop exemplifies what I'm trying to show here. So let's listen to the whole thing. So yeah. So from here, you can see you can kind of like the original sound design. You could repeat that resampling process if you'd so like. You don't have to. You can. You can add more musical elements. You can add musical elements before your resampling process. Like you can have a melody that's being just like chewed up by your resampling process, and then when you make a new pattern and like interspace it in there, it sounds really glitched out. That's a really cool thing that you can do. There's a lot of different avenues you can go with this, and far be it from me to tell you the right way to do it, but yeah, that's kind of the idea. So that's the basics of how to sequence glitch sounds into like a musical context. Hopefully this gives you some ideas about how to start something you can build a song around, because it's once you get it going, you have so much to play with. You can keep kind of building off of it, and it's quite a bit different than normal, I guess, electronic music production, like for like regular EDM or whatever. But there's also a lot of overlap. Like you want to have a good sense of like where your track direction is going to go. Like, you know, of course, like let's say I had this first 8-bar loop going, and then, you know, I have it repeat for another 8 bars, but I'll probably switch some of the samples around in the second 8 bars so it doesn't sound like too much like the first one. I might then repeat that whole 16-bar sequence, but then the drums I'll like strip out all the like the excess percussion, and then I'll put in like a pad so it feels like things are kind of like winding down a little. Like there's all sorts of different avenues you can take. This is not supposed to be an extensive songwriting tutorial, but more so glitch oriented. and thus I hope that this was helpful for you to learn how to sequence glitch sounds into a musical context. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment below. I'm pretty good at answering them. Or you can hit me up on Facebook or SoundCloud or any of that other bullshit. I mean, even hit me up on Reddit. I'm on most of those. But yeah, thank you for watching. Have a good day, and stay tuned for the next tutorial I want to do, which I don't know what it'll be yet, but I promise you it'll be cool. Have a good day.